Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. And most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. All right, I got a very special guest for you guys here today. It's not very often that my paths outside of the studio cross with my guests and the services that they have. And, you know, this guy a couple of weeks back, you know, like they are definitely as good as advertised. And after we had our interaction, I wanted to know, I was like, man, I got to get you to come on the show and talk about this. So I got to bring back my man, Matt Fain with Pop Capacity. Matt, what is going on, brother? How are you?
What's up, y'all? How you doing, man? Good to see you.
No, it's good to see you too, man. It's been a long time since you've been on the show. And I was just like, I see you all over the place, right? Like your content, you're out all over on LinkedIn. You're super responsive because like every time I see somebody looking for warehousing, I instantly tag you into every single post that I see out there because, you know, you're just the real deal with this stuff. And then especially a couple weeks back when I had a customer hit us up last minute for short-term warehousing, had to be hazmat. Your team got me options, like 5 options within like an hour. And that saves my team time and energy to go out there and, you know, call all these places to see. Cause I mean, hazmat of all things isn't like, there isn't just like a laundry list of warehouses that just have that. And then on top of it, the classification of hazmat needed, and your guys were able to get all over that. So I'm just like, man, I got to get you back on the show to talk about this stuff.
It's a beautiful thing what technology can do, right? I mean, we use it in our everyday life to go order our cheeseburger, our new dunks, right? And it's so easy to do. We can review it. We can get a good idea of what we're buying and how we're buying it, where I need to buy it from. So that's the same concept we felt like with finding warehouse space. But it all starts with getting the warehouses, right? And putting them into a convenient place to search them. So I'm glad you've had a good experience. That's what we built it for, with speed, efficiency, visibility, insightfulness, like just whatever you need it for, it's there for your disposal, right?
Yeah. No, and that's the thing too, man, because it's like with technology and everything growing up and evolving is, dude, everything is, you need it faster now. Like you're like quotes in transportation, you need quotes faster. You need your response times to be faster. You need everything to be faster. Speed kills, man. It really does. And I think, and especially in today's day and age, man, speed kills every deal. If you can't get numbers in front of people or options in front of people, they're going to go to somebody else, man. They're not even going to waste their time with you.
Yep. I mean, that's the expectation that we've created. When you receive something on your doorstep same day, all of a sudden it starts trickling up to the B2B world, right? And then in a business world, we expect that same type of delivery service. So we're seeing it now with the restructuring of kind of warehousing and distribution, really flocking to the fulfillment type application where you have multiple nodes set up in metropolitan areas that can deliver same day and next day, like an Amazon type would. So it's very interesting to see what we're doing and what we expect and how we deliver that expectation with the infrastructure we currently have.
Yeah, it's I mean, it is the Amazon effect. You know, I'm in an entrepreneur group, and they've been talking about that. You know, a couple of the meetings that we've had about like, hey, how do you compete with Amazon? None of us have the bankroll that Amazon have. None of us has the infrastructure that Amazon have, but like everybody has the Amazon expectations out there when you're working with them. So how do you deliver that to it? And a lot of it is, hey, we can control our communication, right? We can control that customer experience with us. So it's like, yeah, we got to be quick, but we also got to treat them as a human being and have that and build that relationship up with them, as opposed to that line item. Because, that's like one thing. If you look at like how Amazon operates, they actually have like, I think they have great customer service in the digital sense, because like they just take every return. Like there's like no questions asked. They will literally return everything for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, right? How do you create profitability by returning every single item, right? Because my wife, for example, she'll buy 9 of the same item in different sizes just to see what fits and return 8 of them, right? Or maybe all 9, maybe not buy anything at all. But it's like that digital dressing room experience. You have to have it or no one will buy your product. If there's a return policy tied to it, and you're telling me that if I buy a size 11 and I needed a size 10 because your shoe runs small or big.
Yeah, I know what you
mean. then I'm tied to a restocking fee or something. I'm not buying your shoe, period. I don't care how cool it is. I don't care, how great of a deal I got on it. It really depends on that return policy, and what I do there. So it's the full-on experience from purchase to return, right? There's an expectation all the way there. And it's honestly from discovery to return, possible return. Yeah. How are you discovering your products? Because then the convenience of buying it, it's the whole experience has to be digital. That's the expectation.
Dude, so how are things changing on your side? Because obviously pop capacity is all about warehousing, short-term, long-term, like literally anything warehousing. Like I go to Matt for anything like that. Any questions my customer has, I just instantly go to Matt and pop capacity, because they are what they are advertised as out there. So like, how are things changing in your world, man? Are you seeing CPG brands and everything else? Are they shifting more towards like when they're testing out products? Is it getting easier for them to find like, hey, I only want to test out this market for the next 60 days. Can I find fulfillment in the next 60 days in Phoenix, Arizona, for example?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like the trucking world, the warehousing world's a bit soft right now. We have a lot of warehouse capacity out there. And we've seen that when there's a lot of capacity, there's a lot of opportunity, right? You can get tactical and really strategic with how you interact with these warehousing distribution centers. Things that they wouldn't do in the past, they'll also all of a sudden do because they have the open availability and bandwidth to do it. When they don't have any space, there's nothing they can do, right? But when they have an abundance of space, all of a sudden the creativity starts happening. All of a sudden they can figure out how to do a final mile network for a large furniture retailer, right? 90 different locations. That's something, it's not a huge footprint. It's not 200, 300,000 square foot. We're talking 10 to 20,000 square foot with multiple delivery nodes coming in, truckloads, pickups, will calls, all the whole nine. But they're nimble enough. The network's nimble enough to do that. So we're seeing a lot of large enterprises take some of these big, hairy, audacious initiatives that they've had and use our network because of its convenience, because of the nimbleness right now and the agility within it to achieve some of those big goals. So the world's changing, and we'll peak season's upon us. Things will constrict again. All of a sudden we'll claim there's no warehouse space available, and then our marketplace works in a different way. Right now with the tightness, now we can find those nooks and crannies of capacity, how you need it when you need it.
How are you guys really like breaking down and I mean, say what you want or don't say what you want in this situation, but like if a brand comes to you or, a co-packer or something like that, like how are you out there assessing their needs? And like, is it based on mainly geography, or is it mainly like, hey, like it's got to be a food grade facility. It has to be this far away from certain things. Is every, prospect different in your guys' eyes?
I mean, the way the marketplace works is you've got 2 levels of searching. You've got your Airbnb style, tell me the location, how much you need, and a facility type, being the food grade, ambient, temp controlled, whatnot. Once you go through and hit those 3 data points, we present to you all that match those 3 data points. Now, if you're a savvy shipper, let's just say like a Procter & Gamble or an Anheuser-Busch or a Mondelez, you know your profile, you know what you need shipped, you know your volumes coming in, the volumes coming out, the modes of transportation that are being utilized. We then give you an option to build a custom scope of work. That custom scope of work goes beyond location and square footage needs. Now you're telling us exactly what you need from a volume standpoint. They need to have X amount of dock doors because you do 40 truckloads a day. Maybe they come in 40-foot high cube container. They're leaving out 53-foot dry vans or reefers. we're able to give you a good idea of not only space and who has that available in what location, but like, are they a real player? Have they handled food and beverage in the past? Do they have the dock door capabilities to handle a lot of volume, right? If you're a 200,000 square foot building with 8 dock doors, you probably don't fit the ideal mold for someone moving 50 to 60 truckloads a day, right? You're more of a storage warehouse that weekly pickups, monthly pickups, stuff like that more fits your category. The infrastructure alone from what the warehouse builds and they build a profile in our marketplace. That profile tells us a story about what they're capable of. You can tell me you do high volume fulfillment all day long, but if your infrastructure doesn't tell me you do high volume fulfillment, there's no way I'm putting Nike in there doing 20,000 packages a day.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the big thing when we started this, was like, we want to give the supply chain industry an abundancy of visibility into what's out there. That's how you beat Amazon. That's how you combat Amazon. That's how you create that similar network without going out and building it like they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And dude, and that's the thing, man, is I feel like a lot of people in this industry, and this is, whether you're a broker, freight forwarder, trucking company, it doesn't matter. You need to have an understanding of a warehouse component. You need to have an understanding. I mean, especially because it's like everybody out there has had a rejected load. Everybody out there has had, we need short-term storage because the original truck, the warehouse can't receive it. We need to find somewhere close by that they can just store this load for a week, and then we send in another truck and redeliver it. And if that hasn't happened to you, it's going to happen eventually. And, and especially with, the ports being what they are, short-term, midterm warehousing space is a thing, right? And especially because, like, dude, there can be, like right now there's not capacity constraints at all, but like that could happen again. And you need to have an understanding of where this stuff goes, because, like, especially as a broker, I feel like so many people get caught up on what rate you need to quote on this one lane. But it's like, how many opportunities that your customer have can you accommodate, and then accommodate at a high level? And then if you don't know, you need to know who to be able to turn to in these situations, because it's like, man, if I didn't know shit about warehousing, I wouldn't know what even questions to ask. And that's why you need somebody in your network. And again, like, man, like, trust me, guys, Matt's not paying me to say any of this shit at all. This is just the experiences that I've had with Pop Capacity as a whole. Like, they can get you quick responses, very detailed breakdowns of everything, because your customers, sometimes they're going to hit you up with this thing. Hey, we got like 4 containers coming in, or we got 4 truckloads that we need to get off of our dock, but we don't have any room to store it here because we have other stuff that's coming in. We need to move this stuff out. We need to keep it in the Inland Empire here in Los Angeles. This is what the product is. And then you need to know what to do in these instances, because when customers are us, shippers, manufacturers, you guys, they're not transportation companies. All right. They don't know this stuff, but they hire you for more than a rate per mile. And you need to know in your network who you can go to, because talk about how you become a broker of choice for people, or a provider of choice for people. Again, picking up on time and delivering on time is the expectation, you guys. You need to be able to have more than a surface level substance if you're going to go out there and execute at a high level.
Amen. Amen, man. I couldn't have said it better myself, right? Just being more than a transportation provider is something that when I was back in the brokerage states, right, that was the one thing that set us apart. Is, yes, we dialed for dollars. Yes, we made the 100 calls a day and gave the spiel, but we also went above and beyond when it came to warehousing procurement, right? That was not something that we did as a trucking company or as a brokerage. We never focused on finding distribution centers and fulfillment centers. But what happened when I did find that fulfillment center for them? Now I'm a sticky partner. Now I'm a partner they can lean on in the event they have those moments, which we're in supply chain logistics. Those moments have happened more frequently than not. I love to tell this to all of our brokers, freight forwarder friends, any shipper, right? It's better to know about Pop than not to, right? I'm not telling you have to use us, right? That's not the expectation. I'm telling you, when you need to use us, then we're here for you. We did all this homework for you so that you didn't have to do it. And that was our whole mission, is to make it more accessible, to find what you needed in any variation International paper, a 10,000 pound roll stock shifted in a container and the warehouse won't receive it. What do you do in that situation? You call your transportation provider, and the transportation provider that finds a solution for you is the one that you're attached to for that time being, right? They gave you a little bit more than just freight rates and good service. Now they bailed you out of a situation that was all tied. Like, this is all intertwined. The whole supply chain is intertwined. We just got to figure out, how do we use it and what do we leverage based on the information that we have available? So,
Yeah. And that's exactly it too, right? And then another thing is if you're a transportation provider and you have a customer who comes to you and says, "Hey man, we need short-term warehousing in this market," and you don't know what to do. Again, like, I feel like you need to know what Pop Capacity does. You need to know about Matt in these instances, because sometimes, you know what, these companies, you guys, they're not going to want to use you for this. They want that direct relationship because they might want to talk to other people about a larger footprint or whatever that is. But you having those people in your network is what is going to set you apart in those, because if they come to you in those, because again, like, everything's a roll of the dice, especially if you're out there trying to find somebody to contract with about stuff. The lucky thing for anybody who listens to this, you guys, I've pretty much done all the vetting for you. The people that I have on my show are legit. All right. They're not fly by night operations, you guys. These are legitimate people that you guys can reach out to and really build up your network, because again, like, you need to know who to reach out to in those moments, because if you don't answer it and I do, who do you think that customer's going to come to the next time they need something? They're going to come to you, or they're going to come to me, who usually just takes care of them when they come to me for every single request. Because again, my service goes above and beyond being able to organize trucks for them. My service is, oh, hey, you need a new freight forwarder? I got a guy for you. You need warehousing? I got a guy. You need short-term parking? I got a guy for you. And that's how you really build up your network. That's how you build up your book of business. You guys, networking to me is the most underutilized skill in building a book of business or a business out there. You need to network nonstop, and you need to have people for literally every little thing. My shipper needs a kid's birthday party or an inflatable toy for I'll fucking find it and I will put you in contact with them. That's the type of service that I'm willing to provide for my customers.
I love it. I love it. And that mentality is the reason why you're still around. That mentality is the reason why you're still relevant, right? Is that right there is caring a little bit more than the next guy. Because in this industry, we find a lot of characters, right? We find a lot of false characters. We find a lot of authentic characters. A part of Pop Capacity's core values is authenticity. I beat it in our team's head. We may not have a warehouse in Boise, Idaho that can do, citric acid storage.
Yeah.
It's okay to say we don't, guys, but it does allow us to identify a blind spot, right? But go about things in an authentic way, be authentic. And when you can help out. But if you can't, be okay to bow out and pass it along to the next guy. So, yeah, it's interesting, just how the environment has changed so much, but still some of the old practices are still there, right? We have technology at our fingertips, but yet it's still a relationship that drives everything. The question is, are you getting to the right relationship by leveraging technology, right? Kind of like LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You and I got connected because there's things that are relevant between us. We knew that we were going to have a common connection. We'd have some good conversations and share good content amongst each other based on our interest, based on our history. It's just that influence in supply chain is coming, right?
Yeah.
That type of influence, right? Because there's a lot of unnecessary conversations happening right now at this very moment, when there should be more conversations happening with the freight coach and with Matt at Pop, because the technology or the way that you found them was right. So anywho, I digress.
No, not at all, man. I mean, again, like to me, when it comes down to it, the entire point of this show is to provide education and insight. Like I say at the beginning of every single show, that's all that this is designed for, is because like I've been in that situation when I didn't know where to turn, right? Like I've been in that situation as a founder of like, hey, how do I establish business credit? What do I do in this situation? or,
Right.
you know, or, hey, I didn't have a contract in place and I got fucked out of money. What do I do? So I hired an attorney, and then I have my attorney come on the show and talk about contracts. And then I had my CPA come on the show and talk about tax structure. And hey, you guys should be talking to your people about this. I have my friends on the insurance space come on my show and say, hey, if your premiums are rising, talk to your people about this, and this, and you might be able to uncover some savings. It doesn't have to be from them as the person, but like, you need to know what to say in these instances. And, you know, you brought up the whole point about bowing out. I have overcommitted too much in my career, and it's cost me way more. There was no reward that came of that. I should have just said, hey, this is, I don't know how to handle this. I'm gonna have to pass on this opportunity. No harm, no foul. But again, you live and you learn in these instances, because I want my brand out there in the market to the shippers and the customers to be known as hey, like they just did the right thing. Because that's our number one core value in my company, Matt, is do the right thing.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be at the short term sacrifice of ours, but at the long term, man, we're going to win of that. Because like, if you apply those principles long enough in an environment that is business, because business is cutthroat, you guys. Like, this isn't Candyland here, you guys. People will literally shake your hand while their fucking partner's coming up behind you to slit your throat and watch you bleed out. That is the reality of the real world. But that being said, you can stand out so much more by applying some core values to your business and adhering to them. And it will be amazing how you can succeed in the long term.
It's true. It's very, very true. This is a roller coaster, and for every dip and turn and swirl, there's something you learn every single time, right? We've been in this game for 4 years. We've been bootstrapped for 4 years. And I can tell you right now, I don't know how many people I would advise that to, right? We bootstrapped this thing during the pandemic. There was the first challenge, but that turn, that dip, that whirly do, it made us who we are today, right? And I attribute a lot of that just business success to just maintaining motivation, maintaining momentum, and being authentic in every single step that we make. Because then you do find followers. You do get people who believe in you as a person because you're authentic, right? It's not just a sales spiel. Matt didn't just jump from broker to broker with the same strategy, right? You start building that character, and you start building that supply chain profile, persona, if you would.
Yeah.
Which is something interesting to talk about. You know, we've been in the lab, if you would. As a tech company, you're always evolving. You're always figuring out things and ways that you can better make your technology impactful in the industry. So we started thinking about like supply chain professionals like DNA. Mm-hmm. You have a supply chain profile, if you would, right? Just like your social media profile, you have a supply chain profile as well. I do as well, based on where I've worked, what I've liked, my interest in robotics and warehousing, yours and trucking and podcasting and drayage and international and just all the different various things. There's certain things that people like, and we think those things should be introduced to you in a digital way, much like me and you connected in a digital way, right? It was a coincidence, right? Me and you just didn't magically pop up on each other's feed. It was an algorithm that drove it there. They took aspects of our interactions, aspects of our social media DNA, and applied that to the algorithm.
Yeah.
We think that can happen in supply chain procurement. We think that can happen in logistics procurement. You know, we started off as this Airbnb for warehouse space. And by using that algorithm, we'd have identified that maybe we could take that a step further and change procurement in its entirety by using similar algorithms to social media, by putting relevant products and people and services right there in front of you so that you can buy at your leisure if you want to. The cold calls are still going to exist, right? You and I will still get cold calls and hang up on folks and just wonder why and how you got my phone number. That will still happen. But imagine a world where the cold call comes with data, comes with like, hey, we saw that you were looking for hazmat space in Ontario and in the Inland Empire. you didn't find anything because you didn't finish the process. But look, I'm here to kind of help you out. And I understand you work with a chemical manufacturer that imports stuff out of Mexico. We start understanding the profile. Start understanding the story and the journey that they need to be taken on. And maybe we can make the supply chain procurement process, the B2B procurement process, a little bit easier. So it's going to be interesting. The next several months for us is going to be, we'll be making a lot of announcements. We're going to be doing some product launches, and
love it,
with a big hope that we can take all the data that's swirling around in this industry. It's everywhere, but a lot of times it's locked behind a phone call. It's locked behind a Google search. It's locked behind a broker or a 4PL or a freight forwarder. The information's there. We need a platform to give us the information in a passive way, in a prescriptive way. So the evolution is coming. I'm excited about it. I think as an industry, we're ready for it. Right.
Yeah.
The side of things is done. So,
dude, I agree. Right. Again, it's speed is everything. And you need to have individuals that you can reach out to in those moments, because again, it's more about you supplying an actual option than not. And then you being able to sell with intent. Right. Because again, like I think a lot of people they sell because it's like their only reason for calling somebody is, hey, how do I benefit from this? Right. Like I actually research a lot of my prospects before I call them. And then if I have an area of the country like Atlanta, Georgia, where we do personally ship a lot of freight out of, I'm going to other manufacturers in the Atlanta, Georgia area to see like, hey, do you have the same distribution network as my current customers? And then when I'm calling them, I'm talking to them about that. Like, hey, we ship out of Atlanta, that goes to Texas, Iowa, New Jersey. You have a very similar distribution network to our current customers. These are the days of the week that we're running these. And this is kind of like what we can do for you. I know you're all over the country, but I don't want all your stuff all over the country, because I have some really good carriers on these specific lanes that match up with my current customers' freight network. That's a lot more efficient of a way to talk to somebody than, hey, can I bid on your freight? I see you have a doctor on Google Images, or even worse, can I just move your freight? Can you add me to your bid sheet? Again, you guys got to put a little bit of substance behind it. And where we are in today's day and age, you guys, like, there's so much information that's available to you at your fingertips, right? Google, to me, and I saw a post about this the other day about business development and like Google Earth. I use Google to develop business because I found it to be the most efficient way to go out there and find some shit. And especially you guys, Matt's bootstrapped companies, I've bootstrapped companies. Lead generation software is extremely expensive. And you know what's not? Google. Google's free and you can use it. And Google's very accurate.
Yep. It's a powerful, powerful tool. Another core value of ours is resourcefulness. And I promise you right now, Google is our friend when we're looking for the middle of nowheresville, West Texas, and we're trying to find the industrial areas. Because the unfortunate thing about Google is they lead you to the people who pay the most.
Yeah.
Right. If you type in any logistics service or any warehouse service, good chance your bigger, larger enterprise players will pop up. Whether they're focused on drayage or import export, or whether they're focused on D2C fulfillment, they will pop up as an option. They're not a viable option. You have to make a phone call unless you've been in the industry and you have the intuition and insight and knowledge of who the players really are. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times we've got a new wave of professionals coming in, right? We got a whole new generation of professionals coming in who don't understand that certain carriers can't do it all. Certain brokers who claim to do it all can't do it all. They understand the Midwest carrier network and who they can trust and who they can still trust into. The new generation does not, right? So how do we give the new generation the tools and resources they need to make concise decisions? What you just mentioned was origin destination pairing. Fast forward 10 years, they called it digital freight matching, right? That concept has existed for a long time, but somewhere along the line, it just went off into la la land, and all of a sudden it turned into dialing for dollars, calling everyone. And it's because the latter is easier. It's easier to come in and be like, hey, let me get a shot at your September RFP. Okay, cool. Well, I'll call you next week and ask again. Yeah. Versus doing homework and research and figuring out what that buying persona is and saying, hey, based on the data that I have as a freight brokerage, we're really good from the deep south up to the Midwest or mid-Atlantic. We have 10 available dry vans on Tuesdays and Thursdays, every Tuesday and Thursday. I see you're moving that lane, or I'm assuming you might be moving that lane because you're a fish company in Atlanta and you're selling up to the mid-Atlantic market. You sell crab cakes. So I can only assume that might be your lane. Is it? It took me several hours to figure out the information, to craft a story, to make it a viable solution for them. The new generation coming in is like, I don't care about John at the crab cake company. He does not excite me. I don't like crab cakes, but I like money. So I'm going to make a dozen phone calls and just hope to God that I can land somebody. Right?
Yeah.
It's not the concept anymore. It's not the way. The expectation for these new buyers, these new purchasing agents coming in is like, they want to know and have an understanding that what they're buying has been vetted in an efficient way, quickly, and they had an abundant amount of visibility into every aspect they do without having to pick up a phone or email to sit back and wait for information. The days of sitting back and waiting for results are coming for an end. They want instant gratification, period. And supply chain, as we've always have been historically a bit antiquated, but I think now we have access to the data and information to start being better at every aspect of it, right? And look, this whole concept of consolidated purchasing, I would love to say it was dreamed up by us, but when someone came to us for a warehouse, that was a new location that they needed to source a truck for. If that warehouse owned trucks and had trucking assets, it did not behoove that shipper to come and go and put that new lane through an RFP. It made more sense for them to use that truck at that warehouse. And now they tied two business entities into one, consolidated, streamlined value. And guess what? Now that truck was a little bit cheaper and the warehouse was a little cheaper because you committed to both. There are so many different applications outside of the trucks and warehouses. Think about the world of integrations that have happened.
Yes.
Right? You've got companies that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars doing an integration that they use for 5 years and then they don't ever use it again. What if just having built those EDIs and built those APIs, there's other shippers and brands looking for them? That's what you want to create. You want to create that visibility into all the different things that we've built throughout the years and how we can use them in a consolidated way. Dude. It's interesting. I'm ready. I'm ready to change the industry standard and how we find things in logistics. I think it's asinine, and people may think I'm crazy, but I think we're ready for it. So
I love it. And I'm going to have you back on. I just realized we've already gone a couple minutes over, but that's what happens every time you're on the show, man. And, you know, again, you guys, I don't say this very often, but if you guys are in the need for warehousing, short-term, long-term, whatever that is, I 100% validate and stand behind Pop Capacity and what they do out there. Okay. Reach out to Matt. And if you guys can't find Matt for whatever reason, reach out to me. I will gladly put you guys in contact with them. They are the real deal out there, you guys. You guys need to work with them. You guys need to explore what they have to offer so you can in turn offer that to your customers in the event that they come to you with one of these requests. But how does anybody reach out to you, man? How do they find out more?
Well, you can hit me up at matt@popcapacity.com. I'm always on LinkedIn trying to share as much as you can. And then be sure to follow us on LinkedIn because there's a lot of good insights and updates that come through that. But yeah, that's it. matt@popcapacity.com or LinkedIn. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love coming on this show every time. Kudos on the success, man. You're doing an awesome job. You're a rock star in this industry, man.
I appreciate it, brother. And you guys, we will be back tomorrow. And as always, you guys, if you guys got value in what you heard, which I know you did, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network, because if you see value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.